Hi, welcome to my channel, Bruce Lombardo 75, because that's the year I was born. Not 1975, just 75. I'm only 74 years older than Christ. Just kidding. Failed comedian. Take a guess why. So, today we're going to discuss a few things. First, I'm going to get in the mood, and you're going to get with me. Yeah, you're going to get with me, little girl. You're going to get with me. Fuck you, 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 fuck you. Okay. All right. Classic gunt style. Classic gunt style T-shirts. And the thing is that after you've suffered from the COVID, from the Wu flu, and we haven't started bombing China yet. Fuck you, China. Your lungs are compromised. So just doing like 10 push-ups will feel like you did 30 before. I just have to get used to it again. And maybe one of these days, I won't be breathing so hard like Al Gore at a fucking massage parlor. But today we're discussing a few things before I get into my chill stream. We're going to talk about Frosk. There's others we could talk about. But we're going to talk about this little girl here. Share the screen. Duh. All right.
We have the chat in front of us. I can see you. Without a doubt, there will be backlash because I'm not as bangable as the previous host.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but you're right. I'm not as bangable as I was when I was in my 30s. I heard that from my girlfriend. Anyway, this little Quim here got upset, and she made a statement on the 12th of January. And I feel sorry for her, but she's a product of her time. She's a product of her time. She's not saying a damn thing that's new. She's regurgitating things we've heard for years. And what G4 is, it's a pet cemetery moment. A pet cemetery moment is where you have any garbage like Star Wars, like Marvel Comics, where you have an original franchise which is new and has a lot of fans, has a lot of people are digging it. And another bigger company comes along and eats it and takes it over. And it kind of dies for a bit, but they bring it back. And instead of us getting Olivia Munn, age 40, in a French maid outfit, which is still much more bangable than Justin Bieber here, instead we get Justin Bieber claiming it's female with a serious problem with book teeth. I don't know, my dentist would love her. And I'm sure she's lovable by somebody. I'm sure that dogs like her. Boy, that really doesn't sound good. A good dog will love good people. Maybe they wouldn't like her. She's just a very, very, very angry person. She has this rant with all these simps around her. And I could say mean things, but I'm not. I've already said them. Because in the 50s, this woman would be part of the coalition trying to take the comic books out of the hands of your kids. In the 70s and 80s, she'd be bitching about Judas Priest. She'd be complaining about Thin Lizzy. In the mid 80s, she'd be there with a bunch of Baptist wives screeching about the evils of Dungeons and Dragons. This person is boring as hell to me. Because there's no offering of what can make life better for it. It just shrieks because of patriarchy, because of Orange Man bad. And its previous explosions on social media, when it was involved heavily with League of Legends, there's no reason for me to ever value anything out of her fucking trap. But like I said, she's the same empty cunt that would have been yelling at you for giving your kids a D&D box, a magenta box, a lovely magenta D&D box back in 1985. She'd be the same angry cunt screeching at you because you bought your kids a Fantastic Four Captain America comic book back in the 50s. What I'm doing right here, I can ignore her. But better yet, there's better ways to handle your haters. This is Chrissy Mayer. Chrissy Mayer should have a lineup of simps every day that she could sample from because she's funny as hell and she's fucking great. She's not a hard person to look at either. She's easy on the eyes. She deserves to be treated like a traditional matriarch of a family. That's all I really should say, but she's great. She's a wonderful fucking comedian. She has a lot of stuff she has going on. She's a social media mogul. She's everywhere. She does a lot of things throughout the week.
I just fit them in my mouth.
And
Alright,
she's dressed up as Frost.
that's enough for free. I think I get it. She's speaking her truth.
I don't understand what the fuck her truth is, but I'm glad she's speaking it.
We don't need to know. We don't need to understand it. Alright, what else can we talk about? Red Dead Redemption 2,
Thank you.
ankle boots. Oops, those are just my other calves. Okay. Giggles and bits. Zipper looks like Gusher candy and probably performs like one too.
I don't know it.
I know I don't have time to just do a FAP and EFAP on this every frame I pause. But this is 2 hours and 7 minutes. And I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to recommend you watch it. Now they've spent almost 9 minutes talking about using humor, and I didn't discuss it. I showed you. Use humor to fight your haters. Now we're going to get to the thing that I wanted to do, which I've been wanting to do this all week. I've been wanting to do this all week, kids. And yeah, I need to drop more weight. These probably don't help, but Shiner Trail Ale is amazing. Before I do that, let me do some things. Edit video. All right. Customization. Subscribers only. 20 minutes. All right, now we go to Twitter. And remember that I'm live. And I guess I should get right in your face. Hold on. All right. Now, it's going to be a lot better. You've got Bruce Ross painting. I'm going to do my best to be a good painter on my figurines today. And all right. Our friend Shadzar. Shadzar is a good person. He keeps putting me up good information. Oh, LDG of Geeks and Joy. What's up, Bruce? Gonna have a couple go your way and have a great stream, brother. Hit me up later if you can. I will do that, LDG. Then boom, comes in. Hey, Bruce. Nice hairdo. It's time for us to start painting some figurines, kids. It's gonna get wild. I like Bone's cat. Bone has a pretty little kitty there. He's a good guy. Been around him on these streams for years. Okay. Now, all right. It's going to be a good day. Later on, I'll do more push-ups. Push-ups help you out. Later on. All right. Hello, Baron. Baron, would you like to come in today and talk about the gaming? Or do you want to hang out there in the chat? Okay. Here we have one of my favorite figurines. All right. Hold on, Baron. Okay, good sir. You've got no LDG. I'm just talking like Bruce Ross, the renowned painter on PBS. Bruce Ross, Painting Times. Baron, there's a link in your Discord if you so wish. Trying to figure out what I've got. Oh, Shadzar's there. Here he is. Shadzar's probably the best mod I've ever had. Shadzar says, I hear Nob Ross is here to paint for all of us. I'm a big fan. Bone asks, LDG, why am I hidden on your channel? He doesn't understand if there's something he's done wrong. Probably hasn't done wrong. Probably just a problem with YouTube. YouTube is funny like that. Currently drinking a winter ale. Is this a leather sword? No, not a leather sword. I put red paint on there, and I'm going to probably redo that. I think we're going to redo that now. No. Here we go. I was watching a panel earlier today, live from Canada, and I feel sorry for all them Canadian truckers. Granted, they're doing everything with their own violation, but no, I don't have a selfie ring shining on the minis. I'm sorry. Was unaware that you were colorblind there, Shadzar. Nope, he's not in. Baron has not answered the call yet. I'm going to get this dark steel. It's actually a pewter color. Put on the sword first. LDG, did you block Bone? Baron says he's having issues. He's coming. Yep, that's why I always question when I'm seeing him in these streams, because I have no clue what color it is. Wow. Never knew that your color was that off. Oh, that sounds like Baron. Hello, how you doing today, Baron?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. Let me turn you down on my other one here, so I don't have the annoying back and forth echo.
I don't have an echo, do I?
No. Because I had the YouTube and Streamlabs going at the same time. So
excellent.
I need to take mine down. I'm enjoying some Nutter Butters dipped in frosting. This is the best way to go, man.
I'm not a Nutter Butter guy, but I'll have to take your word on it. Wait, is that the Kellogg crispy cookie that has a two? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
With frosting on it?
Yeah. I'm dipping it in chocolate frosting.
Oh boy.
That's how I got this body, man. Look at that wonderful body. People ask me all the time. People ask me, how do you get this body? Nutter butter and frosting. Actually, it's the first time I've ever done it. I don't like Nutter butter by itself myself, but I decided to give this a try today. It's like, ooh, I think I found a new favorite.
See, my favorite thing to do is to grab a thick Hershey bar, and I used to have the thick Hershey bars, the King blocks or the big block Hershey bar. You remember that?
Yep.
I used to love dipping those into peanut butter.
Yeah.
Straight out of the jar.
They have like the king size ones still around here at the store, and I'll occasionally buy a couple of those and then open up a Skippy. Or I don't get Skippy; I get whatever brand it is in the cupboard. It's just that's the best way to go about it. It is, honestly. As much as I love Reese's, that's the best way to do it.
I think so.
So I see.
I've been air frying Twinkies lately. I'm getting a new body type as well. I know the feeling.
And I see over here you have a happy little orc, and you can tell he's really happy because he's holding the head of an elf. But of course, we don't want to have lonely little orcs, so we're gonna have another happy little orc over here. I see.
Chadzar's like, I had graham crackers dipped in marshmallow fluff and covered in Hershey syrup.
Ooh, poor man's. That is the poor man's Samora right there. Actually, my grandfather always had diabetes, and at night his big treat was having a glass of milk and some graham crackers. And then my other grandmother would take graham crackers and actually put frosting on and make graham cracker sandwiches with it.
That sounds really good.
Oh yeah, I mean chocolate, the buttercream. That's another one that's good on there. Oh yeah, I love doing it. Oh, by the way, thank you for inviting me on. By the way, I always want to make sure my gratitude is shown.
Not a problem, but you had me on
Mhm.
your channel about 3 weeks ago, and I'm like,
Mhm.
we get him on
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, you burned me out too, man. After that one, it's like, ugh. No, I started going into a whole stretch there where I was still not feeling good and then the arthritis level started shooting up because the temperatures went way down and the wind chill. And I missed out the week after because of that. But I kind of joked that Bruce went out there and beat the tar out of me. He just beat it out of me.
Yikes!
A vicious.
Yeah.
No, I'm just teasing. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun having you on, and always
Same.
fun watching you.
I enjoyed watching you and 24/7 talk the other day. I know you've done some other streams with other people, but that stream there between you and him was great.
Yeah, I mean, like I always said, it's a little bit different than we're doing the show. Which, by the way, doing a shameless plug here, 5:15 Central Standard Time, the Kings today. That was one of the problems I was having. I had the StreamYards up for the Kings. It's like, okay, I got to take this one down, get the other one up, and copy paste. But yeah, I mean, I always enjoy having on because it's a little bit different. Because as you know, the when we do the Kings, it can go anywhere. And this is that more when he and I talk to each other personally and sit down and actually have people listen in while we're doing so. So it's fun.
Most definitely, absolutely,
Once,
most definitely. I really like watching 24/7. He hit a really, I guess, a sensitive topic, and he got nailed for a little bit in November because he was talking about the Texas festival that had the rap concert,
yeah,
and that was a no-go topic apparently for a lot of people. But he went in there head on, and he's a hell of a journalist. I don't know where he gets his feed from, or where he gets his links from, but he'll be the first one to drop something. Like
he
9
knows.
times out of 10, it's
Yeah.
him.
He knows people, and he and I talked about it too because I started. I think about then. I think he was either guested on the Kings and all that, and we hit that subject, and we didn't really hold back on it. It's like this is absolutely ridiculous, and of course, haven't heard anything for the longest time. Haven't heard anything from the longest time. Not his fault, but they just bury it.
Yeah, Bone says he's got great streams. He's very knowledgeable about things. Yeah, he pays attention. And I think if more people opted to pay attention and listen to what was being said, there would be a lot less just these people walking around blindly just accepting things, staring in their phone. You'd have more people gathering, protesting, throwing up boycotts, showing reasons why, putting together, videos, or just a live stream where they can just like read off. And then on this day, this guy said this. And then on the following day, his office said this. And this is why we need to do this action here. Blah. And they do that. But too many people are very content and they're scared to stick their neck out there because they think they're going to get hit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's always been that way through the ages. I mean, even when you had the slower media of just papers and radio and television and before that, people were afraid to start saying something because they'd be shunned. It's just like, we don't want to do anything to do with you. You're upsetting us. You're making us uncomfortable. Because I'm uncomfortable, I'm shaking. And if I'm shaking, that's obviously some sort of violation of who I am. And oh no, and you're this and S in the fold. I mean, were you watching? You were saying you were watching the Canadian one. I was listening just a little bit. Were you listening on Fat Steven?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was over there. I was helping panel last night, and then I was just modding over there today. And he's got a lot of things going on, and they were showing a parliamentary hearing or a meeting going on in a hotel that they didn't want to have a whole lot of eyes on it.
Mm-hmm.
But he went in to a hotel room feed and was listening in as you had numerous people there, some of them reputable, some of them not so reputable, but they're talking with
Mm-hmm.
the Ottawa Council.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look good. That's what I can say. It does not look promising, and I think the right side of history is going to try to they're going to try to shovel over it.
Mm-hmm. I know, and Fat Steven, I really have to take my hat off to him because doing what he's doing up in Canada, people forget Canada's not little America.
No,
Canada's not our little brother. They don't have a freedom of speech up there, and if they wanted to, they could go after Fat Steven and give him a cease and desist and throw him in jail if they determined that he went over the line. So my tons of respect and appreciation for him. I don't remember. I know if you remember back about 15 years or so, the Labor Party up there had this big, huge, gigantic scandal, and they were trying to bury it as much as possible. And of course, Canadian press is obviously government run, and the powers that be at the time were the Labor Party. I think it was Project Veritas or someone went up there to do reporting on the American side, was actually reporting stuff they didn't want let out, and they kicked them out of the country.
I can
Boom,
totally
you're
see
out.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're out of here.
You got it.
They're not going to tolerate for it, and they don't want to have people share that knowledge. They want to keep it hush hush, and we'll just bring it on the taxpayer, the burdened individual when all of this is ready to go, according to us.
Right. Exactly. So my hats off to Fat Steven for what he's doing out there. We all know he doesn't take any shit. He
No,
doesn't take
he
any.
doesn't.
In fact, as I joked, well, no, I was serious. The last primetime Kings we had, he goes, "Are we off the air?" Yeah. F you, Baron.
He's great.
He is wonderful.
He is great.
That warmed the cockles of my heart when he said that to me. Of course, he said the full word. I'm editing down here.
Yeah.
And another one, if you take a look at some of the old videos that old Vigilante Williamson has out there, he also has a tendency to. He's not doing as much anymore, but he did the same thing like 24 and all that. Just kind of let's go in there and dig and cause little issues here with letting people know stuff.
When he got this new gig that he has, and I'm not trying to say anything negative about that. I want everybody to have an income that you have to work for. But before he started this new endeavor, he would get in the weeds really hard. He would make people uncomfortable, which is great because you shouldn't be comfortable when you're seeing something horrible in front of you.
Right.
You shouldn't be okay with it, and you got guys like, Vigilante and 24 out there and Steven that they're willing to, hey, we're going to uncover some stuff and you might not like it, but it's still happening. Just because you're not favorable, you don't have a big smile on your face when you read the story, doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And he goes straight into the weeds.
So, yeah. So I mean, that's why I really, it's like I'm sitting around with these guys going, "Wow, how did I get a spot with you guys here?"
I sound like a dick, but I kind of wondered that too because you were a fresh face on YouTube. I'm like, wait, Baron's with those guys? What's going on? And then once I listened in, I realized like, okay, these guys have a good symmetry together, and they're not too far apart from each other on a lot of issues. I mean, Steven will try to tell you he's apolitical and he'd rather be a gamer, but whenever it comes down to it, I recommend. I would really recommend the nearby local government to just not be a authoritarian piece of crap because you're going to have guys like Steven Seagal out there. Fat Steven Seagal is going to be just ratting on you. He's going to show it to the world.
Right, and the thing is as I look at him to be apolitical about it, he'll go after anybody. He doesn't matter who the hell you are.
Yeah.
If you're out there shitting, he's going to call it out. He's going to say that smells not roses. It's Dookie. Mm.
That's one of the reasons why I joined up with him. I became a member of his Fat Steven Crisco Corps. Pretty happy about that.
But yeah, I don't blame her for wondering who the hell that guy is. I always ask myself that all the time because I haven't been streaming or involved in this for very long. I don't think maybe I've gotten close to a half a year now on this. It was Brandon who put me first on when he had his Golgo channel, and
Who?
Brandon, Brandon the Anime Guy,
Okay.
Golgo 13. Yeah, he was the first one that he actually had a live stream that was public. I was on some Doomcock private ones, but that was the first live stream that was on with him. And then, I was lucky enough to be on with Coach and this. It's like, well, how am I doing all these things? Then I started finding out that Mexican Iron Man's been saying some things about me. He goes, I've been telling these guys not to tell you anything. but the relationship between me and 24, it started out this way. I mean, I put out a video and I had a little rant. I try not to rant on mine, but I had a rant because I was fed up with the BS. I think it was a Star Trek one, and I think it might have been where they were saying, if you don't like our Star Trek, we don't want you to watch, if you don't agree with us. And I just laid in that this is not Star Trek and such. And then I get this DM. And this DM from us, what the hell is a 24/7 Fusion Media? But okay, let's see what this is. You never know if you're going to get a crank or not.
Yeah.
And I read through it. It's like, oh, okay, well, wow, that was very nice. And I responded back, and we started talking. And it's like we're having these like mile long, DMs. And finally, it's like, okay, let's get each other's numbers here. And we started talking. And of course, we'd have our phone calls go like 2, 3, 4 hours in the night. And one time, he's going, my phone's dying. I gotta go. And I'm going. Another time, I'm going. I have to get to bed. I got work in the morning. But that's how that
is the brain of
relationship
everything right there. I gotta cut the stream off. I have to work in 5 hours.
Mm.
Yeah, I hate that.
You're having so much fun. Mm-hmm. And then when you kept on talking, forgive me for talking with my mouth full. And we kept on saying, no, we gotta, this and that. We gotta get a show. We gotta stream together. I hadn't been streaming myself at that moment. And then finally he goes, hey, you want to be on the Kings moved to Sundays? It used to be, I believe, on Wednesday or Thursday, and it was during the time I was working. I could never get on. And he goes, hey, you want to be on? Be as a guest? I said, okay, sure. And that's what started all. After a while, he goes, hey, I just needed to talk to the guys, and I wanted to ask them first. I didn't want you on this one show as a guest because I wanted to talk to them afterwards. He goes, and they said, yeah, sure, bring them on. And so I became a king.
Sweet.
The Baron was promoted.
Baron just subscribed to you. Or Bone just subscribed to Baron.
Oh, thank you, Bone. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. I better look over I don't have my... Okay, there we got my comments now. I see the Twinkies, and let's see. Oh, I want to see, and just subscribe. Thank you. Every time I think of Bone, I hear Bone, I think of the comic strip, the comic series, the graphic novel series. My stepdaughter loved it, so I read through it too. I think it was a comic book, but then they turned it into a graphic novel series. I liked it.
I'll have to look that up. Yeah,
like Phone Bone, and they're like 3 of these little white creatures. They kind of look like, little anthropomorphic blobs, but, and of course they're with the real people. They came out of like Bone Land, and they're on this adventure for something. I have to reread them again sometime. It was kind of a fun read. Long read, but it was a fun read. Definitely. What you got there? It looks like a
knight or a footman that has been unhorsed.
Okay.
With a flamberge or some sort. So he's got that wavy sword.
Oh, yeah. Bone agrees. That was a good comic. Yeah, the cavalier is now on foot. It's like, what am I going to do now? Where's my horsey?
Where's my lance and triple damage?
Yeah, exactly. Cavalry is great until you hit a shield wall. That's all I got to say.
Have you played anything lately?
No, unfortunately not. I have no one really to play with right now at this time, so I've been kind of lonely. Lonely.
I'll have to throw you a couple links in the chat later on for Discord because I'm not a big fan of Tinker's Tavern, but the reason why is that there are a lot of people there that our shared interest is only gaming, but everything else it's just fire and or oil and water. We don't mix well. But
Mm-hmm.
the Frog God Games chat that I'm in,
Oh yeah, Frog God. Okay.
yeah, they've got an organized play.
Oh.
And so they do 5th edition Swords and Wizardry, which is their proprietary game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's first ed D&D. And then they have the Pathfinder OP, if you like Pathfinder. I want my games crunchy. So people have 3 choices. You can take the medium, which is 5th edition. You can take
Mm-hmm.
the super light rule set, which is the way I would prefer to see people play.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have Pathfinder.
Right.
And you get
What?
involved with the organized play of it. And they have different meets throughout all the week, throughout the month, and
Mm-hmm.
they have different schedules. So you can enjoy yourself.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, as it goes, I love the open light game license D20. I love that system. So I
OGL?
know. Yep. Which of course, what Pathfinder was jokingly called 3.75.
Yeah.
So,
I think
and but the thing is, I only got one book in Pathfinder. That's just the main book. I was part of the Pathfinder Society, and I hate to say this, so I got bored with it. To be honest with you.
Why did you get bored with it? Can I ask?
It was so formulaic, and it was just, in some ways, it was like almost the MMOs, in the sense that we hit this one, we hit this one, and then we got the boss. We got this one, we got this one, we got the boss. And it's like, okay, you kind of have an idea where things were going. It just seemed like it was always the same. It was the same path, but there'd be just the different elements to it. It's like, well, instead of a lick this time, we're going to be going up against a vampire or some other boss-like level creature after battling through from point A to point B. The most fun though I had was We Are Goblins.
Really?
Uh, and I can tell you exactly why. Because we role played it, and we were in the basement of a game shop, and there's like 3 other tables besides us. We're all playing We Are Goblins, and as we're playing it, I could listen into the other people playing. It's like you guys are playing it serious. You're playing it min max, as min max as you could. You're playing uh, where you're not taking risks, and you guys are suffering and you're hurting. Our table went out there. Okay, we're goblins. Let's play goblins. And if it's something stupid, it's like, yeah, we wouldn't do this, but the goblin would. And we just burned right through that thing, had a ton of fun. We hardly had any damage done because we're playing goblins like goblins would be. And came out with probably, I think it was my most favorite Pathfinder experience I had with the Pathfinder Society. Honestly.
Shadzar says we beat goblins is for one shots for lots of beer and sourdough pretzels. I can agree
Yes.
with that.
Yeah, exactly. It is, it is absolutely, yeah. And I think that's the reason why is we just like threw caution in the wind. We were playing the parts like we were supposed to be in the parts and not caring if, as long as we weren't going up against dogs, we were happy.
Yeah, poor goblins don't do well with dogs.
Mm-mm.
They,
Whatever happened to Goblin Riders then? Riding the wolves and the dogs in the battles, not these guys.
No.
So that's so yeah. But that was my problem with that though is like, and I can understand why with the Pathfinder Society because it was always a changing situation from week to week. It was really hard to get in there and have a full-fledged organized game, but it just seemed like it was just too plotted out, and it was the same. It's like a romance novel except the characters have been changed to protect the innocent. So other than that, I mean, I had fun with Pathfinder. Other than that, it's like I enjoyed the system. I enjoyed the rules. It was just like it was when I was playing 3.5.
I really liked 3.5 and 3.0 because it felt like it was a system where you could get in and tinker with it, and
Mm-hmm.
it almost invited you to do that from the get go. And there were people
Oh
that
yeah.
said, well, second ed did the same thing. I'm like, no, because in second edition you had a different set of rules for monster design, and
Mhm.
in third edition they made it to where everything had the same stat block. You just had different numbers here and special abilities there, and you have these feats over here, and it was completely a modified. It felt like I was getting into the Unreal or Quake style of level and environmental design when I got my hands dirty with Pathfinder and 3.0. It really did.
Mhm.
The D20 is the WotC version of GURPS. I agree with that. And
Mhm.
and for me it works well. I'm not big into riffs, I'm not big into GURPS, but I can wrap my head around D20. I can wrap my head around the 3.0 engine that Peter Atkinson, I think he designed that, and Monty abused it from there.
Mhm.
A class-based system where the skills make no point to having classes. Yeah, basically.
Mhm.
But that to me it works. And I'm not gonna tell other people how dare you run second edition, how dare you run first edition without speed factors, how dare you? No, go play your game, enjoy it.
Oh yeah. Exactly. I mean, just because I don't like a particular game system, I'm not going to really rag on it, except for like a fantasy war game, war gaming, that book from the '80s, which was just conquest by committee and a Frankenstein's monster. That's a little bit different. They had great ideas in there,
How
and I
dare you
think a
not
lot of
like battle system?
no, that battle system. It's not battle
Oh, okay.
system. No, that was a fantasy war. Do I? Just a second. Just a second. Do I still have it?
Yeah, I don't know what book
This
you're
one.
referencing.
That one right there.
Oh
That's
my
my book club.
god.
That's my book club edition I picked up.
Wow.
Fantasy Wargaming.
From
I
Bruce
mean,
Galloway.
yeah. I mean, there's one thing you gotta sit back and say, look at that art that they have on there. That is just absolutely freaking wonderful. I mean, it has some of my favorite role playing game art in it, but the system is like Frankenstein's monster because it was conquest by committee on there. But they had some great ideas. They had some great ideas that could be used in others, and people have expanded upon as it went along. But I was Baron G Rock. I was watching one of his videos the other day where he was going through the top 5 systems you should play and the 5 systems you shouldn't play. And I'm going through and it's like, of course, we both agreed on the one. They put GURPS on there for a system not to play, and they started, and they had all these things about this and that. And it's like, wait a moment, that's the same problems you have with D&D with the stat blocks, especially 3.5 and all that. It's like, how can you say that about that and about GURPS? I mean, obviously, people don't might not like the system, but this means it's a bad system or a broken system, especially for one that's lasted for so long. So,
And I agree with Shadzar on this. WotC calls their games Dungeons and Dragons, and a lot of the diehard first ed, second ed, Beckme crew is still upset because the new versions of D&D haven't been D&D. And D&D Beckme to second ed, you could do a relatively painless translation
mm-hmm,
from one version to the other to back. You could do it. It was very possible.
mm-hmm,
But whenever you translate anything from first, second Beckme to third, fourth, or fifth, you have to really do some creative work. You have to actually look at feats. You have to look at what's going on because we never had feats back
mm-hmm.
in Beckme.
No.
We never had that. And so we have, it feels like a completely different game. You're basically translating from hero system to index card RPG when you're going from fifth edition, third edition down to Beckme.
And no, I haven't watched the Table Breakers fully yet. So one of these days I will. I've just been so busy, but it's on my list. I will watch it. Trust me. I swear.
We're not a bad group of people. We're trying to get more organized. We're trying not to seem like a bunch of amateurs, rank
Well,
amateurs.
yeah, I'm just Shadowzar. It was obviously I haven't watched Table Breakers. It's like,
Yeah,
give that some
Baron says you don't watch Table Breakers. Then yeah,
time.
he he's been one of my mods for a long time, and I he disagrees with me on the value of third edition, and that's okay. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to. I want him to find a table. I want everybody who loves the old style games to find a table,
Right.
without preferably having to find somebody that says, "I've got this retro clone." Fuck, you're gonna piss him off because he's
Mhm.
gonna say, "I can still buy the books from the pawn shop. I can
Right.
still get the books online from drive-through if I really want to."
Yeah. In fact,
And
I just did that not too long ago with the second edition handbooks, player's handbook and DM guide. I never had those because everybody else had them, so it didn't really mean much. So I never did it, and I was never. I don't know. I loved the worlds. I loved the worlds they came up and the concepts they had up, but I was not. I don't know. For me, it was kind of hard as a first edition going to second edition. I played it, and it's like, but just there's something about it that seemed a little soulless. I think it was with their presentation that they were doing.
yeah,
Um, and it came back to life with 3.5. And somewhere in my mess of a library, I actually got when the 3.5 came out, they had a conversion book, how to convert your characters from second to third.
mm-hmm. Yeah, you had the exceptional strength score, which would make you have like a strength of 26 if you had an 18 double aught. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
But yeah, when I was a kid growing up, it was always first edition AD&D, and it was so hard for me to quit calling it AD&D when third edition came out. It's like always AD&D, 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 and of course, Traveler did a little Traveler, some Star Trek, the Vaza role playing game, stuff like that. And second edition came around, and then for a while there, I just kind of dropped out for a little bit. I just was so busy with life and out of the geek world enough that when 3.5 came around, I was like, okay, you sucked me back in. I'm here. I'm with you now. Oh yeah, and Star Wars, the role playing game. Star Wars, the role playing game. I can't forget that one.
That was one of my favorite games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think if a group of players came up to me and says, "We want you to run Star Wars for us," I'd have a hard time not just dropping everything and going off to their table.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me for a moment. I need to go grab something. I
While he's
apologize.
going to while he's away, I will be talking a little bit here, but I have to fully agree with him. If someone came around and said, "Hey, we got a West End Games going on with Star Wars," you got me in a heartbeat. Even if it did sometimes seem like you had like a million dice you were rolling in there, like you're playing Warhammer 40K. Uh, that game was just absolutely amazing, and just the lore that they contributed to Star Wars and the work that they put into it was mind-boggling, just mind-boggling. You had to give all these guys that were doing it ton of props, a ton of respect that they're doing. And I never thought that anyone would ever do a Star Wars game. People were saying, "Oh, if you wanted to do one, you could convert your Traveler game over to that." Bruce is back now, so aha.
No. You keep talking about Star Wars. You're not hurting my
Oh,
feelings.
oh, no word. But I know that there was one time because Traveler was intended to be a generic system that you could play Star Wars and convert Traveler to being a Star Wars or even a Star Trek game at the time. But then you had Phasma with Doctor Who, you had all the others. Like, why wasn't there a Star Wars game? Why wasn't there a Star Wars game? I even at one time tried to play around and see if I could do rule sets for first edition AD&D for a Star Wars system. It's like, okay, how can we do this and turn this class into a Jedi and turn this for your soldiers?
Hmm.
Uh, all that. And of course, I was just playing around and it never really went any more than just me putting some notes down, which unfortunately I've lost through the ages. And I found it kind of ironic that here, when 2000 came around, guess what? Star Wars was using basically Dungeons and Dragon
The
rules.
D&D engine, the D20 engine,
Mm-hmm,
which actually I liked better for Star Wars than I did for D&D for many years. It
mm-hmm,
took me to 2005 to really start embracing D20 D&D.
mm-hmm.
I didn't start running it until 2003. I was still in second ed.
Okay. And there was little differences there because actually the Star Wars system was actually kind of borrowing more from the D20 modern
Yeah.
how they were going with that one. And then
With Black Angus.
Spycraft, yeah, and then Spycraft came out, and then I was reading inside the Spycraft. Yeah, we're borrowing some rules from the Star Wars role playing game. It's like no, that's kind of coming from the from the D20 Modern, but okay, you're still giving credit to WotC, so they'll be happy.
That was a funny thing. Everybody was borrowing off each other. Hell, Star Wars borrowed the Silent Death game mechanics for the skirmish piloting, the little combats between starfighters and TIE fighters. That was it.
Yeah.
Hey, Black Angus, how you doing today, sir? And George Lucas shows up.
Okay, I'm gonna behave. I'll say good things now about Star Wars, about George Lucas.
Yeah, we're not saying anything bad about that. Although I really wish you had not sold it back in 2012 or 2014, sir. You didn't have to give it to the white slavers.
How dare you? How dare you? But I mean, I think the game system's kind of when it went with the Star Wars, Wedge was the best. WotC was next best. I hate to say this, Fantasy Flight Games, as much as I do enjoy playing it, it just seems like they got their hands tied so much that all it is just regurgitating stuff that was already old, and you're not getting anything really new lore wise. And if they do,
nothing new.
Yeah, and then they'll throw. They're just throwing in what Disney wants them to regurgitate. You're not getting characters like Platt O'Keefe, or you're not getting characters like Alex Winger. You're not getting.
I think you're the first person I've heard, aside from myself, in the past 10 years I've watched YouTube and been a YouTube creator that has said the words Platt O'Keefe. Peter Schweigerhofer wrote one of the coolest NPCs for a game. Mm-hmm. And you Star Wars fans out there need to go and you need to check out the Wikipedia on both Platt and on Peter, because he wrote some doozies in the expanded universe.
Oh, that character! There spawned like 3 source books at least. It was Platt O'Keefe's Smuggler's Guide, Platt O'Keefe's Guide to was it Starports? I think it was a Starports guide Platt O'Keefe had, and I can't remember what the third one was. I mean, I can get off my fat ass and walk over to look, but I don't feel like it because I'm lazy. But then, of course, what they had in the adventure journals. I mean, they had they had the short stories on Platt and expanding her lore and how it came from this and that, and new stats, new ideas, and other logs that she had for being a privateer, pirate, smuggler, and other articles in there. I mean, she was probably the best NPC that came out of West End Games.
Yeah,
that they had, and she went.
Agree.
Yeah, and she made a little appearance in WotC, and I think they did draw her in at least in one FFG game book, but no name. And if you do go to Wokepedia, make sure you hit Legends for Platt. They do have a canon now for Platt O'Keefe. Disney did adopt her, but you know what they do whenever they adopt one of the old things, they bastardize it down. And just sit down. You go to Platt O'Keefe page. Just be prepared to read for a little bit there. It's not going to be a quick read. Let's just put it that way.
No, Peter lost weeks writing her up and her exploits. I mean, he spent a goodly amount of time writing about her, and she was popped in the Star Wars Adventure Journal, which was the fanzine that was released, I think, every quarter, was it?
Yep, it was every quarter. Okay, now I am going to get off my fat ass. But yeah, you're right. Every quarter.
I loved Star Wars RPG, and as much as like the thought of D&D getting the license for Star Wars, that was great. They lost a lot of soul when we ported over from West End Games into D&D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we go.
Oh my gosh, that is a beautiful copy of that.
Yeah, and the thing is it's so deceptive. It's like, oh, you've never read your books. No, I do. I'm just obsessive about it, making sure I don't crack spines and take my care when I'm reading them, because I'm a biblaholic and I just love making sure my books stay that way in good shape. Even my game books. But yeah, I mean, you still were getting lore with WotC, and
Yeah.
and at least, and I was appreciative of that, but it wasn't as.
Did they bring Peter
Um,
Schweigerhofer into it or no?
I can't remember if they did. I don't think he did. They did. They would have had more with Platt if they did, because I don't think she
Yeah.
was specifically West End game licensed. And with them getting the Star Wars license, I'm sure.
I don't even know if there was a
Uh,
license for her.
no.
I don't even know if there was a license because, like, we're talking about the pre-corporate bullshit that's happening now. And so when you have an RPG back in the 1999 or before era, you could have a character that was well known in this RPG. Like if they would have made a Honor Harrington RPG, they wouldn't have gone and done all this paperwork BS. They would have David Weber come in and he'd be able to help you figure out stats for whatever system you got. And then he'd walk back and he'd throw you the occasional article or story or RPG adventure. But you'd have this handshake agreement. And that would be it. And nowadays, the way that WotC has it all set up, you have to go through this gauntlet of 40 lawyers first and sign all this paperwork and write off, okay, Drizzt belongs to you. You can bastardize him as much as you want. And at the end of it all, you are given a check and no dignity.
I have a feeling now that Platt O'Keefe is quote unquote canon in Star Wars. I have a sneaky feeling that the evil empire now owns her soul. I hate to say.
We'll never see her then.
No, I mean, like I said, I saw one picture of her in a book, and whatever it is they wrote up on Wikipedia, and I don't know what she made an appearance in for the quote unquote canon. Yeah, right. The mouse, as I like to say, I like to emphasize Disney canon because I believe the other one, the extended universe, is still canon as well. Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know. And that was just the thing, though. It's like, I have to, when I saw that they're coming out with this and saw that it was a quarterly, and I saw what the hefty price was, and back then was, the price was pretty hefty. It was like,
$12?
Well, $12 an issue, but to get the Adventure Journal for a subscription, it was $35 a year for this.
But
it's $12. Yeah, and it was $12 an issue, and it was like sight unseen. It's like I sat and I mulled it over. It's like, do I want to subscribe to this? Because I don't want to just get like a magazine for that price. I mean, and then finally I said,
it was cheaper.
Yeah, and then I broke down. I said, okay, what the hell? I set my $35 in, and when this thing came out and I got this, it's like, oh, I got my money's worth.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I got more than my money's worth.
The thing is, it has no ads in it.
No.
It's got no ads. It's got artwork, all stuff for the D6 system. It's got lore. You have a few pieces of fiction in every one. And then you'll have the authors of previous RPG supplements come in, and they'll give like a page or two of stuff to update something. Or they'll do interviews. And it was chock full of Star Wars D6 love.
I mean, right there, that part there is where you could sit back and say was their quote unquote advertisement, because they're talking about the different, comic books that were coming out, talking about the different games coming out. Yeah. Then they had like a few things in, like they had Shane Johnson's Star Wars book, and growing up with play the Indiana Jones game. At the end, there was a couple, but that's nothing. They're just basically the same type of quick little advertisements you sometimes get in a game book. It's like, okay, here's a couple of our games that we have. It's like, and the rest of it is just, it's like sit down and take a few days to digest it all.
And you would literally need a few days to digest it all, because back then, when people wrote a character up, there was an index card's worth of information on it, but the person writing it up was spending 30, 40, 50 minutes sitting down thinking about this person's life, what they do, how do they run, how do they walk, and it's a little bit more involved with that. Nowadays, when you do NPC creation, it is a cut and dried affair. Here's where the ability scores go. Here's the feats, or here's the special abilities they have. It's soulless.
Right. I mean, you got stories sometimes on just the person who was running a stall on Tatooine.
Yeah.
It's like, so you get it's like this much information on just one NPC who really literally is nothing, but with that you could turn that into something. It's like, oh, maybe I can use this for a later game or do something more inside this game with this character.
And you would see art in that book that really rivaled the big RPG books of the time for $20. That was
Yes.
the other thing I noticed. You had great artwork in it. Now the Star Wars D6 system was all ink work, but as far as art's concerned, but you got used to it quickly, and you really liked it. I'll shut up now.
Oh, no! I mean, I would like to. We were bringing up art. I mean, Star Wars has one of my favorite game artists in there, and that's Mike Velarde. And he was all the work that he did with drawing characters and such. Oh, and here's a smuggle log right here. I was just flipping through with Plaid O'Keefe. There we go. Stats and everything for Plaid O'Keefe.
With that 80s hair. God, I love it. I miss that.
Oh, don't ya?
Yes.
Oh, she was. You could not help but fall in love with her. I mean, honestly.
And you would fall in love with her by reading the consistent articles every month or every quarter after every quarter, and then with the books that came out from Peter, that he always managed to make her just like almost the girl next door that turned to a life of quote unquote crime.
Mm-hmm. And then. And I was talking about Mike Velarde, I don't know if there we go. Mike Velarde, there's some of his work right there with Alex Winger and all that. And when I talked with him, I had to sit back and say, there's one thing I admired about how he drew women in his, and because he did other work besides Star Wars. I think he did some travel work and all that. But just how he drew women, he drew women so naturally. And just like you said, like sometimes like the girl next door or whatever, they were more, what would you say, appealing to look at than some of the others they had there. It's like you just take a look at it, and like I said, the Alex Winger. It's like we couldn't help but kind of fall a little in love with her because she was that cute pixie girl in there. It was fit inside the Star Wars universe, and they did they without the big huge boobs and big butts. Anything, it was like this was natural, and. And even then, even the face, they weren't drawn into this really gorgeous whatever. They were just like, it would be like some pretty lady you meet on the street somewhere or in school or whatever. And he said, that was his goal. That's what he wanted to go. He wanted to be different about drawing women and men also, for that matter, and the artwork for the games and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why he always my favorite. He just had a way to make it. Even though it was, your typical line ink drawing, like you were saying, make it look realistic in what they say about Star Wars. The universe looked like it was lived in. So do this artwork. It looked like they were lived in this universe.
I miss games like that. I miss games where you could crack the book open and you would insert yourself in the game, but typically most people would not try to insert themselves into a dangerous vocation. You would see the Millennium Falcon whiz by you. You would see a firefight and you would duck for cover, but you wouldn't want to go out and do that yourself because if you had an idea of how dangerous the Star Wars universe was in first and second edition, you did not want to go out yourself and hoist a blaster pistol at a couple of stormtroopers. You were going to get shot and killed.
Right. That's the one thing also I guess I appreciate about the West End games and even WotC. You did have that risk of your character being killed. Fantasy Flight games have made it so hard for your character to get killed. Part of me starts going, well, then what's the thrill in this? There's got to be a risk. Yeah. Now, the other thing, too, is you can, in the FFG, you can take all this abuse, but if you fell down a one stair or a simple little drop, it's like, okay, time to roll the crits. It's like, I just tripped over a pebble. Yeah, we got to do a crit roll because it's technically falling. Falling damage, you have to do this, this, and this. It's like, it was just a stair. I tripped over a loft cat, for crying out loud. Nope, critical.
Bone, we will talk to you later, bud. Thank you, sir.
Oh, take care, Bone. Have a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird because you would see all these things happen in the Star Wars universe, and you're like, oh, that isn't too bad. And then like you see what happens when regular people try to get involved with things, and they just die. They
Mhm.
they die. It was a very good, very high mortality system. Please use your common sense when you play.
You know what I kind of liked about it too, and the one thing that kind of bothers me a little bit in role playing game, modern role playing, is everybody's got to be at the same level and this and everything all equaled out. And in the West End games, it wasn't necessarily that way. You had, characters had more experience than the others, just like Star Wars. Han Solo had like 10 years on Luke Skywalker. He'd been to this one end of the galaxy to the other. So he's got, obviously, if you're going to do a level system, a lot more levels than Luke, who was just putzing around on Tatooine on a T-16 shooting womp rats. And then you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is, again, a general that was in the Clone Wars. So, it's like you look at Luke, he's like maybe a third level. Han, who's around like 10, and an Obi-Wan who's like 18, and they're all together.
That was a cool thing about it, and you would have that disparity in the game because you'd have people playing with a character that lived through like 10 or 12 or 15 adventures, and you have another guy that's like, I'm going to play a Wookiee. So
Mhm.
okay, this more experienced character is probably more susceptible to blaster fire than the Wookiee is, but you don't get cocky no matter what character you play. Ever,
Right.
never get cocky.
Never at all. No. And a lot of it case came down to what the abilities were. That, obviously someone that was on Han's level was more apt to be able to do this thing better than Luke could. But that wasn't the skills. You still had the same type of risk with damages. You still made the same kind of meat puppet when a blaster hit you.
Yeah, I rolled only a 9. Uh-oh. And the blaster damage is 15. You fall down, you've got a wound that's bleeding out of your chest.
Hmm.
What? Yeah, nowadays people will hear that and they would be like, okay, well, I get back up. You want to? This might be
Play
something
dead.
better. Play dead,
And
please.
that's where people have got to quit playing by the stats and play by the role.
Yeah, the role playing game has fallen away to the role ROLL, and
Right.
it's making me. It makes me sad when I hear people talk about gaming nowadays.
And I blame MMOs all the way across the board. Just like fourth edition, all fourth edition of AD&D or D&D was let's turn MMO into a tabletop game.
I. I'm
Well, can I go
sorry.
one?
And I love EverQuest. I love World of Warcraft even because as much as those games suck, it is cool to walk around those worlds and just be like, "This is cool." But at the same time, I don't want to play them because I think I don't want to play World of Warcraft, especially because it's just this ladder that makes you fat. Whereas EverQuest, you have to be a smart player. You have to coordinate with other people. Like, okay, we're going to do the raid at this time, so everybody be at this channel at this point, in this time of the day, or whatever part of the world you're at, so we can all get together and do this raid smartly. No Atlanta, Georgia, no spam risk.
You
Oh yeah, I've got that. I've got that in the
got that one?
Demon Knight, and I've got the Norath, and I've got the
Hmm.
monsters of EverQuest.
Yep, I got all
It's
three. I got the 3 books. Yep.
it's a great game series, and it has some
Yeah.
good stuff in it.
Hmm. Which is why I got it. It wasn't necessarily the fact that I was going to play it, but there were some great ideas, great monsters. Unfortunately, my monster book got water damaged, but I can still open the pages. But yeah, again, it was something that got that was that I got because of wait, what do they have in here that could be expanded upon and put into another game? Some people call stealing. I call being inspired.
Yeah, Shadzar's like EverQuest can go to hell with their Daybreak expansion. I guess he didn't like it. I didn't play
Mm.
that far.
My brother-in-law plays EverQuest, or as he calls it, EverCrack.
It it was a wonderful game diversion. That's all I'm gonna really say about it because it diverted us from playing what was it? The Rod of Seven Parts Adventure. One of
Mm.
my friends brought back EverQuest, and he booted it up, and he showed us everything on EverQuest that he was doing. And so we emailed in to get the beta test with him, and it took us about 2 months, and then we were beta testing the final stretch. And I was there playing EverQuest on release day, and it was different. It was really different. And then worse yet, I didn't have a broadband connection, so
Oh yeah,
I
back
kind of yeah.
back in the day. Yeah, I know what you mean.
When your computer would scream at the internet to be logged on.
Yeah, I honestly kind of miss that sound. To tell you the truth.
Okay,
But
EverQuest got sold to Daybreak Studios. My bad.
okay.
Thank you, Shadzar.
I tried playing it, but I don't know. I just was doing too many things at one time, so I just kind of, it was nothing against it. So it's like, okay, I can only focus on. I got ADD. I let me try to focus on one thing here, so I don't go nuts.
Yeah, I stopped focusing on EverQuest so I could get really good at being a second edition D&D dungeon master, and I did that, and then went to the local conventions up in Illinois, which at the time we had one in Champaign. We had 3 in Champaign throughout the year. We had a small convention up in Bloomington. Bloomington's not a big town. It's just not. And then we had another con down in Carbondale. Decatur, which is a metro center with like 80,000 people, could never
Mm-hmm.
get a convention going.
Huh.
I don't understand that. It was the home
I don't
of
either.
Jersey Guild.
I know. We got a few game conventions up here. I don't really go to them. I don't know why. I just they come and they go before I even it hits my radar, kind of type of situation. And even then, with the state of role playing game now, it's just there's nothing to really inspire to it. I mean, it's a different form of people that
That
you know.
goes.
The people want to complain about us old timers about how we're so dismissive of bringing new people in, which is not the case. I'm always happy to have new people come into the hobby. I want new people to come into the hobby. I want them to experience what I experienced and what I try to pass on to my kids and passed on to friends of mine, which was passed on to me back in 1980 whatever with the first edition AD&D. But a lot of us are very very cautious and have that little eye out because it seems like when you invite somebody in, they want to turn around and say, well, this isn't fitting for what I want it to be for me. You should change everything for me. And it turns into the old SJW crap. And really, honestly, that's one of the reasons why, a lot of us old timers have a hard time bringing new people in. It's like, you got to be serious. You're coming in, this is the rules that are being played. You don't like it, you go. You get uncomfortable. Well, we get uncomfortable playing some of these in here because, it's not very comfortable knowing that our character just might get smeared off the earth because that red dragon over there just got pissed. And something that we played with for like 2 or 3 years sometimes might be killed.
Yeah, I enjoyed the old style adventures because you would bring in new players and you would try to show them how to play smart, and typically they would abide. They would do the right thing, and people wouldn't get crazy or they wouldn't get too daring with their character that just leveled up. But now, I mean, if you have a total party kill, but the party asks you, well, can we redo it and say it was a bad drain? Well, can we redo that? And they want to just reset button all the time. No, there is no mommy save. You died.
Right.
We need to create new characters.
And that's the trouble with these MMOs. You get killed, oh, you'll just be
Respawn.
pop back in. Yeah, respawn. It's like there's no respawn here unless you can find a good cleric and have enough gold pieces to do it. And then you're going to suffer level loss. You're going to suffer this. You're going to suffer that too. It ain't going to bring you back to normal, baby.
No, not at all.
No.
You got this new lady in charge of Hasbro. She looks like Lorraine Williams. I don't know if she is Lorraine Williams, but it reminded me of her really badly. So
Yeah,
we'll
I've seen
see
that
how
in the
Hasbro
chat.
changes or
Oh
D&D.
well,
Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, no, I did. I talk to you about this last time we were on about the art of the genre, the art of the genre about D&D, that excellent documentary that was done on the artwork of
No,
D&D.
not yet.
Oh, I mean, it's on Amazon Prime. I know I brought it up. I think I brought it up in Discord, and me and G Rock were talking about it.
Okay.
But basically, it's an excellent documentary. An excellent document. You get to see Elmore. You get to see You get to see Diesel. You get to see a lot of these old time artists. The people who are trying to keep this art alive in various stuff.
I haven't
And
heard the name Diesel used in a cartography sense for years, so that just made me happy again.
oh well, here, let me make you even happier. Diesel was trying to do something. I can't remember what it was, but he went out there and was redoing his artwork he had in the first edition. Deities and Demigods, and I got this Diesel Loki signed from him print.
I like
So
that.
that sits on my wall. But like for the last 5 minutes, they go and talk to I don't know what the hell this was that they have as their art director at WotC. But I don't know what gender this was. It was trying to pass itself off as some sort of elf because of that, like the ears and all that. And I just looked right there and it says, right there, just freeze frame right there. That's everything that's wrong with D&D now. You would never expect Elmore to walk around dressed up as a dwarf or anything like that, thinking that that's his alter ego. You don't want to see Diesel doing that. You wouldn't see, uh, uh, well, even Dat, David Tramp. You wouldn't even see
Trampier?
Tramp. Yeah, you wouldn't see
Yeah,
him doing that.
you're
As
talking
tragic
about
a
the
story as he
dragon,
is.
the little dragon he drew all the time.
Yeah, Wormy. And the tragedy around him. I mean, whatever it is that got him out of D&D and didn't want anything to do with it, and they found him as a cabbie before he died.
He was down in
And
Carbondale. They found him as a cabbie, and
mm-hmm,
they were in talks. Not they, Kinzer,
mm-hmm,
Jolly Blackburn, and them were in talks with him to do a
mm-hmm,
Art of Wormy strip and
mm-hmm,
try to get back some money, help him recoup his losses because something happened. Something
right.
happened with David Trampier, and so they were in the middle of that, and then he died, and it
Mm-hmm,
made a lot of us sad when we read it. I was a subscriber to Knights of the Dinner Table at the time, and I was
mm-hmm,
a forum reader. I would read on the forums more than I posted. I posted maybe one every 2 months,
mm-hmm,
but I was big into it. And then finally, I like Jolly Blackburn, but he doesn't understand that you don't want to gaslight your fans, the people that pay for your
mm-hmm,
stuff. And he was
mm-hmm,
knocking fracking all the time. And between 2012 and 2019, that was my income. I
mm-hmm.
was a fracker. I went out and I
Yep.
got oil, and he's out there just spewing away like what's his fucking name from Marvel movies, the guy that plays the
Oh,
Hulk.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's
Yeah.
talking like this guy, and I'm thinking, why are you pissing on me? What have I
Mm-hmm,
done to deserve this? I love your material. I like your product. You need to stop trying to insult the fans. And
mm-hmm.
he never stopped. He always
Were you up
insulted.
at Were you up in Nodak when you were doing that?
No, I was down in South Texas.
South
In
Texas.
South
Okay, because I
in
know
South
up in around
Go ahead.
Minot they have big fracking going on up there,
Oh, they've
or
got
had.
huge over in Minot. Now I've
Yeah.
been over there because they flew me out one time to go pick up a truck, and so I had to take a mechanic from around thereabouts for us to get the truck working. And I spent about 3 hours in the freezing cold trying to resuscitate this Frankenstein back to life. And then I got to drive it from Minot back down to South Texas, and that was pretty miserable.
One end of the
I'm,
world to the other end of the world for the United
yeah,
States.
around Nebraska was when I was finally cool enough to take off a coat while I was driving.
See, I can appreciate because my family is from North Dakota, the Woodworth, Jamestown, Carrington area, and of course, Minot. They have the North Coast Fest, so I've been to Minot many times. So, yeah, I know how horrible it can get out there in Nodak. I'm sure Texas looked mighty inviting by the time we got down there.
I moved here for the explicit reason that I would never have to wear a winter coat or snowmobile outfit ever again. And my boss looked at me before he sent me on this flight. He says, you're from Illinois. You should be able to handle the cold." And I'm like, that doesn't mean I want to go.
Yeah,
I should.
exactly. Can I do it? No. It's yes. It's a desire there. No.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I remember though too. What was it? Rod. I can't remember if it was Roger Moore or Phil Folgale. They were talking about that. They were sending Tramp his checks, and the checks would come back. And I can't remember if it was Roger Moore that said it, or Roger Seymour, not the actor, or
the old editor of Dragon Magazine. For those who don't know.
They sat back. I can't remember if it was him or Folio that said, "Yeah, when the check comes back, it means that the guy is dead." So for a long time, people were suspecting he was dead.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
I know.
That happens,
I know.
and it's like I wasn't reading Dragon Magazine on a regular basis back then because that was back in the 80s, and I didn't start that until after the release of the Fighter's Handbook for Second Ed.
Okay.
That was when I started being a Dragon Magazine, Dungeon Magazine buyer. I have my own money. I want to buy this. Fine. Mom and Dad were like, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I only just got a small selection of like 80s D&D. I mean Dragon. I mean, but I started when the third edition came out because they were just putting out so many interesting, great articles in there that they had in there. And of course, the one thing I loved out of the old Dragon was Snarf Quest by Elmore. In fact, I got two editions of the completed works. Actually, one that wasn't completed, and the other one that was the full completed of Snarf Quest. And I found the one that was not the full complete. You know, they basically come to an end when the first part of the quest is done at a bookstore. And I pulled it up. I go, it'd be interesting to have be a completist, but do I really want to go and buy this? And I open it up and I see Elmore's autograph. I go, it's bought.
Yeah.
It's got Elmore's autograph. I got it. It's mine now. Whoever the fool is that got rid of this, it's now mine.
Polynese Minion, welcome into the chat for the day. She's a long haul trucker that goes all over the place. She's one of Pat Stevens' very big fans, and she has a very cute little puppy that's a truck dog.
I see the picture on there. I was just thinking, is she she's the minion of the dog? I'm supposing, like all of us dog owners are.
Mm-hmm. I believe that's the joke. The dog, you might own the dog. You really get to pay for the dog and provide it a place to stay. The dog will tell you and you will spoil it to make it happy.
And the cat will let you know, no, I own you.
Yes.
And that is the case. I mean, my cat picked me. It's like all of a sudden the cat decides to come over and go, I like you. You're my human now.
I had a situation last week which still has the clay mud on my boots. But I went to this guy's house and his new wife has a menagerie of animals. Probably 7 cats, including the kittens. She has a host of dogs in the backyard, which made me sad because they were all in cages. And they look like they look like the dogs that you find on like those Sarah McLachlan commercials. Mm-hmm. Like they were needing help, and she runs a puppy mill, so it's not exactly the best run thing. But when I was there on business, and I'm trying to get her septic tank to be good so she can flush a toilet in the house. The cats, between me trying to get the hoses in location and trying to connect everything, the cats decided that they were going to become my legs snuggle buddies. And the big cat was named Morris. So, of course, I thought, okay, the person that owns this cat is at least as old as I am, not maybe older.
Yep. Meow 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 meow.
Yeah. It was a fun day. My allergies went haywire after that, but that's the price of being allergic to cats. Oh, you're allergic to me? Let me sniff you more. Let me put my hair on you and dander.
They know it. They know it.
The Polynesian minion says dogs have owners, cats have staff.
Yep, absolutely right. My cats definitely, they snap their paws and it's like, oh human, please come have that. I wish to have some catnip. Could you bring out the excellent 2001 vintage, please?
Yeah, cats are definitely interesting. I'll say that. There was a meme I saw where you have a picture of Bast looking at this little cat next to it, and the words above the statue of Bast is, "Do they still worship us like gods?" And the little cat says, "Their entire internet is powered by our pictures." Very good job. And that made me happy.
I believe that. That does sound absolutely on the mark.
So, if you had your choice of game to play, aside from aside from West End games, Star Trek or Star Wars, aside from that, the D6 system that of joy that it is, what would you prefer to be playing?
Oh, that's a hard thing. The guy that I normally game with, Nick Montgomery, and I were talking not too long ago, and it's like both of us were kind of sitting back saying, "Yeah, doing the Star Wars is fun. We've been doing the FFG, but it's like, just be nice to go out there and slay some goblins. Be some murder hobos in like a D&D type game. Be it Pathfinder 3.5 for me. I know I got the 5th edition. I think 5th edition's okay. I'm not all that enamored with it, but it's like, yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I myself would.
It'll scratch the itch.
Yeah. You know, especially with I got my halfling rogue or thief, as I like to say, named Squiggy. Yeah, and I talk like Squiggy. Hello. Whenever I'm doing the part, I'm making sure I'm doing hello, like Squiggy. When he passed away, it broke my heart a little bit. But I'd say like Pathfinder 3.5. And then the danger with that, though, is if you go into 3.5 or even just 3.0, what are you going to play in it? I mean, you got all these worlds out there. I know you and I were talking about Forgotten Realms. You're not really all that enamored with it. I like it. I just view it as kind of a home game version of Lord of the Rings, but there are elements in the third edition book is so beautiful. I guess that's the thing that enamors me with that one. I love Greyhawk, but it's like, Ravenloft would be good. Sword and Sorcery Studios did a great translation of that over on that one. Do a little horror fantasy, and then Fantasy Flight Games actually did Dragonstar, their science fantasy, science fiction version of D&D before you had what is it? Starfighter or Starfighter that
I like that
Hazel
game.
did.
I did like that game.
Oh, which one? Dragonstar?
Yeah, I like Dragonstar. I like Mongoose.
Oh. Well, Dragonstar was Fantasy Flight. Where's mine? Mine are somewhere around here too. I got all the books except for the 2 adventures that was done by a third party. A third party of a third party. Oh, imagine that, huh? That's kind of funny. But I always thought that Dragonstar should be brought back, tweaked up a little bit, and away you go. They had some great concepts. And I'm trying to remember who it was. One guy was Neil. He went by the name Neil. I mean, I think he still identifies himself in the game world as Neil. He did a lot of homebrew stuff for Dragon Star, and it was through that he actually got a job through WotC. And sometimes you see it. I'm trying to remember. Neil was his name that he had there. I can't remember what his full real name
I
was.
can't remember the guy's last name. Ah. Now I'm going to be bothered. I'm going to be bothered by that because Starkweather, as much as I hated Starkweather, he ran a good Dragon Star campaign.
Okay.
There was a guy up in Peoria that actually ran Dragon Star quite a bit, and so we were exposed to it continuously.
There it is. Here's my copy. Mm-hmm.
Starfire's Handbook.
Mm-hmm. It was just so. Normally, it's like, okay, you're putting science fiction or the D&D elements into space. That stuff doesn't seem to really, translate well. But they
I thought
really
it worked better than Spelljammer.
Yeah. Spelljammer's fun, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like, let's just bypass all it. Let's go straight starships and then have that fantasy element in there. Elves, dwarves, magic, the concept of the universe being ruled by 12 dragons. Was 10 dragons.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm. You had the 5,000 years of the good dragons, and now you're going to the 5,000 years of the evil dragons. With Mezenbone, I believe, or Mezenbane was the red dragon, was now the new ruler.
The campaign I wanted to run was it was a game called X-Crawl.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
It was a reality TV show where you and the other adventurers were stuck in a dungeon, and you would try to survive, but the DJ would send the monsters after you, and you would have a chance to do certain things, like you might get sponsors, and so like certain energy drinks were healing potions, and you would talk about them to the camera. If you could find a camera, you'd look at the camera before you had the initiative roll, and you tell the players or the people watching about the super fizzy glug. It's now caffeine free, and it heals up a D12 hit points plus 3, and you slam it. All right, roll for initiative. And it was great. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, is it true that you only vacuumed up 2 cats?
We only vacuumed up 2 of the cats. Yes.
Okay.
They were. We could hear them thumping on the inside of the truck. This stinks.
This is so shitty.
That was one of the worst sites I've ever been to. I straight up told my dispatcher, I said, take extra chemicals. We might lose money on this initial work, but he's got a lot of work for us in the future, and that site is unprotected from the cold. So every winter we will be there. We will be there every freeze.
And see, that's smart business. I'm going to take a loss this time, but I'm going to make it up over time. And people don't comprehend. And that's the same with role-playing.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a loss here with my character, but I'm going to make it up over here.
A lot of people don't want to play by that. They want to always win, and I'm thinking you'll never get a handshake if you're always going to be bidding yourself too high on things.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, the first level adventurer is not worth 5,000 gold to do something. No. You're going to be paid for what you're worth. You're only killing goblins. You're only slaying rats in the basement.
Yeah, you're basically doing cleanup work from the guys beforehand that came through. So you're not going to get all the treasures. They're going to get the stuff that, it's one of these. I have 10 of them. We'll just leave this behind. And you're going to be getting their cast-offs. You're going to get I don't take electrum pieces. I don't take copper pieces. I just want the gold and platinum. So that's all you're going to get. And of course, whatever it is that you're going to be getting the job for from the town hall or whoever, the king, the baron, the shire reeve, whoever it is, you're not going to get as much money as the other guys are because you're not taking those risks. but you still have a chance of getting killed faster.
Mm-hmm.
So be smart. Oh, it's a lovely Sherry. Hi, lovely Sherry.
Hello, lovely Sherry.
Oh, that sounds like a good brew there. Tell me it's a brew.
It is. I'm
Good.
drinking Shiner Toasted, which is a
Oh, okay.
amber.
Mm-hmm.
It's a amber at 4.5 alcohol by volume. They
That's not
have a
bad.
new package for winter brewskis, and it's the bonfire brewskis is what they're calling it. But you get the
Okay.
Shiner Toasted, and then the other two beers you get in a 12 pack.
Mm-hmm.
The other two varieties, you get 4 beers of each. You get Shiner
Oh.
S'mores.
That sounds odd.
It is a little odd. Chocolate and marshmallow flavoring. The chocolate's actually from Tomball, Texas, or something like that, somewhere around that
Okay.
area. Then you have the Trail Ale, which has got some caramel and some chocolate notes in it, but it's much different than the s'mores.
Yeah, I mean, chocolate being in the beer is not an odd thing. It's just that some more the marshmallow thought of it is a little odd
Yes.
on there, but they have a nutty chocolatey beer is not an odd thing. Just like when you get some of those porters and stouts, you have that coffee flavor to it because there's coffee involved.
I love a good stout.
Mhm.
I actually porter used to be my favorite beer,
Okay.
but I stopped receiving the type of beer that I like, which was from Genesee up in Dundee, New
Oh.
York.
Mm-hmm.
You know these guys.
Uh, um, let's put it this way. I was a big fan of Michael Jackson. I'm not talking about the one-handed glove pop star, but the man who called himself the beer hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of studying up on beers and all that, and I met him. I met him so many times. It kind of got me worried. He knew who I was. So it's like, oh, it's you. It's good to see you again, old chap, type of thing. It's like, oh yeah, hi, how's it going, Michael? And I know what it was that got me his attention. Where all the people are bringing all this beer stuff to him, obviously. And I brought a out of print copy of his mixing drinks because he's also known for his scotches, grading scotches, single malts, and oh yeah, and he's gone now. Unfortunately, he passed away probably 10, 15 years ago. He had Parkinson's, sadly. So when he passed away, it kind of hurt me a little bit. But I came up with a book on his basically his mixology book, and just like the first words out of mouth was, "Where did you find this?" And then we started talking about books, and he's a biblioholic, and I'm a biblioholic. So every time I showed up afterwards, it was always, "Oh yeah, you're the one with the books," and all that. We always had pleasant conversations, but of course, beer was also part of that. So studied up. My favorite beer style is bitter, and it's so hard to find. I'm so tired of IPAs. People
Oh,
stop it with the IPAs.
down here, the IPA is fading. They
Oh,
have a
okay.
new favorite variety, which is going to infuriate you more.
Oh
The
no.
seltzer. The
Oh, F
seltzer.
me. Oh, F me.
Yeah,
It's
somebody thought seltzers was cool, and so now there's an entire industry in South Texas making seltzers, and they shove them all on the store shelves, and I don't buy a single one at all.
excuse me, Texans. Where did your testicles go?
I listen.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. I know
No,
better
no,
about you. But
you're good. You're good. But we recently, for the beer drinkers, for the actual beer drinkers, there's a thing called Yingling beer.
oh yeah, of New York. That's the oldest brewery in the United States.
Yes, sir. Out of Pennsylvania, actually, and
Oh,
they
Pennsylvania. Sorry, my apologies.
you're good. You're good. They have another facility down in Tampa, and then
Okay.
in August, while I was hospitalized, I read on the internet that Yingling was opening up operations in Texas, which we had
Oh.
begged and bitched and pleaded them for years. And occasionally, I would run over to Louisiana because that's only 6.5 hours away, and I
Mm-hmm.
would buy 3 or 4 cases, and I'd come back and I'd get rid of all but one, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd pay for my gas and my excursion, and I was happy because my friends liked that beer.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have it being made up in Fort Worth. And so to all of Texas, you can find every one of their beers in the HEBs or what few Krogers we have.
Mhm. I have never had them. I always wanted to. I went one time to a restaurant, and they had on their beer list that beer. And I go, "Hey, I want this." We don't have that no more. And it's like, what? Don't freaking tease me like that.
Yeah.
Because I always wanted to have a beer from the oldest brewery in the United States. It's like, okay, let's see what this is like. I've always, I was a beer snob before all these Chidden beers came in and ruined it all.
Well, Yingling Lager is really good if you
Mm.
like amber beers. If you like
Yes, I
amber
do.
beers, I recommend it. It's a 9 out of 10 beer. It's really damn good. When my dad gets down here, he's going home with a case of it. But they have another variety called Flight, which is a super light beer that has 4.2% alcohol by volume, 2 carbohydrates, and 92 calories. So it's like
Okay.
a Michelob Ultra killer,
Hmm.
but I use it as a base beer. And when I say I use it as a base beer, I will mix honey into the brew, and
Oh.
it's like a honey brown almost,
Hmm.
which is from Genesee Brewhouse. And I can't receive that anymore because the
Hmm.
distribution for this entire area is now taken over by one company. They've got a monopoly. It feels illegal because a lot of the beers I used to see on the shelves are gone.
Yeah.
And I don't mind seeing more Texas beers out there, but
Hmm.
HEB, my local just my local supplier, has a lot of new Texas beers that they replaced with the national brands that they lost.
Hmm. Nah. I mean, yeah, it's always nice having the local stuff, but there's some of those things out there exactly. Well, Bruce, I hate to do this. I gotta get ready for my show with the Kings here because that's going to be in about I think about 25 minutes or so. So I wish I had beer, but I've been filling mine up with mixed drinks, a little whiskey, a little juice, a little pop, whatever,
That's
and
fine.
it helps.
I,
But you know what? Now you may be craving for beer. I have to go down to the liquor store probably tomorrow and get some.
well, you have yourself a fun excursion down there. I don't know what your type is, but I hope that you
Mm.
find a beer that you love to be on the shelf
Oh,
and ready
oh
to
yeah,
serve.
I do. We have like Total Wine that has a great selection of beers from all over the place in the world too. Then we got a local shop. Yeah, I'll do a plug. Chasers in Chaska here, and he stocks up pretty good there with a variety of beers. So I know the owner Charlie. He's a good guy. So um,
Do you
I just wish.
go ahead.
Oh no, so I was just back saying I just wish they'd have Us and Ringnes come in those Norwegian beers. I can't. No, there's no distributorship around here for those Norwegian beers
I've
from
never
my
had
old
that.
Northeast up. Oh, they're both good beers.
Now,
Ringness is like
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ringness is kind of almost like the national beer of Norway, and then Us is out of a town. It's called AASS, so it looks like ass, but it's
Hmm.
Us, and that's out of a town called Drummond. And I know people who are like in a suburb called Cunnerud, just outside of Drummond. So, needless to say, when I went there, they made sure we had Us beer to drink.
That sounds really delicious.
It is.
It really does. I was in Denmark once, and when we were there, we had, of course, they had Anheuser-Busch products for us. But
Mm-hmm.
then after we had that, we asked the bartender if we could have a Norwegian or a regional beer,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave us something which I could not pronounce, but it tasted very good, and it was written in their home language.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't know if that was Dutch or quote unquote German, but regardless, I endeavored my best to have sampled different beers from everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I might be popping into the chat on the Kings tonight,
I
and
hope so.
I look forward to seeing you guys. I love your guys' streams. I'm sorry,
Well,
it's
well, don't
really
be
good.
sorry. We love
It,
hearing. Don't be sorry. Never be sorry.
it's good to listen to you guys. I mean, because you get the four of you together and you guys just let everything out. Now, Steven's probably going to be wound up still from everything going on in Canada, and I don't expect him. I don't expect
you.
him to wind down easy on this. This is what's going on right now. He'll explain to you, but it
Oh,
it looks very. Um, there's a lot of things that are going to go against the will of the people if Ottawa
mhm.
City Council gets their way.
Yep.
and I'm
Well,
not in favor of it at all.
you're seeing totalitarianism at work, folks. That's all I gotta say. And it's
And
not because
yeah.
it's not the truckers. No. So yeah, I mean, you should have seen how he was all wound up with that Vito character. I mean, I walked in behind scenes for the show beforehand. He was wound up then. He was wound up when he got on. It's like, okay, we're just going to stay out of your way and let you go for it. And we just made sure. No, you're doing okay. Because you talked with them about that Vito guy too. I think.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of him at all.
No.
Anybody, and I'll just put this out to the chat. Anybody that defends the show Cuties, you
No.
really you're starting off on the wrong foot with me. I'm not a parent by any traditional means. I've got a daughter, but she's not raised here. Surprise, surprise. And I've got to tell you that there's certain things as a man that you look at, and if you see that reflected in media, the last thing you want to have to deal with as a person is the thought of that could be your daughter.
Right.
So Vito out there defending Cuties and saying it's really not that bad of a situation makes me want to roundhouse kick him until my ankle breaks.
Well, before we take off here, and just let you know, this is what I'm drinking right here. That's what I'm putting in my drinks. But I want to let you know how much of a fan I am of Cuties? You want to know how much of a fan? I canceled Netflix for it.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
I said, goodbye. Big Mouth was bad enough, and then when they had Cuties, it's like, no. Read between the lines. I'm surprised I didn't have the feds coming after me with the note I left them on my way out.
I think when the Cuties event happened, they had their stock tank severely, and they bought their way to get the media to get behind them once again and try to broom over. Let's sweep this over. Let's not focus on this movie that we funded, that we have this person from another section of the world that thinks this behavior is okay. And they did everything they could to try to just let's forget about this. And then you have schlups like Vito that every time he pops his head up, it comes out of his mouth. It wasn't that bad of a movie. And all I want to do, and I don't mind saying this, I want to get physical with Vito. I don't like him at all. And anytime he pops up on a stream, like there was a stream last night between Mecatur and some guy named Ralph, and I watched the little internet argument, but I was missing a lot of pre-internet lore context. I have no idea why they were arguing, but they were vicious at each other. And after 45 minutes, the men lost their ability to be vicious. And then they started bringing other people, and Vito popped in, and I'm like, I'm out. See ya.
Bye. Yep. Yeah. Persona non grata with me. How to say what I say. Normally, I don't say anything bad about other YouTubers, but this is my rare exception. And just for that reason right there.
Yeah. But I want you to have good health.
Oh, Prost, my brother, my friend.
God bless you, my friend.
Yeah, bless you too. Love you, and I love everybody in the chat, and I hope to see all of you at least pop in and say hi at the Kings there.
He's going to be on the Primetime Kings with Fat Steven Seagal, Vigilante Williamson, and 24/7 Fusion Media. If you want to see more of Baron Orman Ortage, you need to click on his link, which is in the chat. Please do so. I would love to see him get to 1,000 viewers and monetized. Subscribe, like his streams, watch his stuff. He's an amazing man, a bibliophile, and he loves to learn new things. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, and thank you so much, and thanks for having me here. And I'm going to talk to you again sometime about having you back on my show because I just love talking with you, man.
The same, man. God bless.
Okay. Well, take care, everybody. God bless. God bless everybody else. Take care.
That's our good friend Baron Oman Tage. I don't know how you pronounce that, and I probably screwed that up, but I figured that there would be. I figured that you would understand as a viewer that I appreciate his presence very greatly. He's one of those guys that's out there on the channel that I could have him pop in every stream with me, and probably we could, if there's no video that he's got to be involved with or no video I must be involved with in the future, we're going to stream to the point where, all right, I'm getting tired. I got to go to bed. I gotta go. Anyway, for all of you at home, thank you for showing up for today's session. Angela Draven, thank you for joining us in chat. I'm like that with some creators. They pop on stage. I stop watching. Yeah, there's no reason for me to want to be involved in a stream that has people that are that diametrically opposed to my values on family and how you treat children. And Vito's just in that level. Okay. Well, I'm not going to swear anymore. I'm sorry, but I feel that he has no value. I wish I could say something better, but he does not. I'm looking at my TV, trying to get the focus. Come on, camera, focus. Wow, that looks really bad. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to stream here for about another 10 minutes, and having Baron on is a good thing. I appreciate him and all the men that he streams with on the Primetime Kings. Actually, I'm going to wrap this up here before the 6 o'clock hour because I have other things that I have to do and wanted you to have something to watch today. Our friend Makini is currently editing some things for his channel. Shadzar has been an excellent mod today. For all those that come in later on during today's stream, I want you all to have yourself a great night. Go ahead and poke fun of me for the fact I can't do 35 push-ups at a time. It's understandable, and I will get better. I will promise you. But I'm going to go because I have things to attend to at home, and there are other things that you probably want to watch as well. I want you to be well. Shadzer's like, swear all you want. The rants is what you want to do. Yeah, listen, I already talked about Frosk. Frosk is just a product of her time. She's a same angry, shrill cunt that would be cussing you for buying your kid comics in the 1950s. She would be upset with you if you were buying your children Dungeons and Dragons books in the 1980s. And here she is on the right side of the shrill side for angry that you men holding your penises are staring at Olivia Munn in a French maid outfit jumping into a giant pie. How dare you? And that's just Frost. So you can either say things like, I can't stand this woman, and you could be all Jesse from Jesse Millstone and Mindless Entertainment. You can get angry at her. Ah! Go ahead, have your rage fit. Or you can be like Chrissy Mayer, and you can completely destroy your enemies by satirizing them and monetizing your haters. There's a schlep out there right now by the name of Condor DM that hates me and the fact that I have a channel because I offended him some way. And that's fine, but I'll never watch his content. I never will. Not even with the Internet Archive, which would deprive him of the view. Because he's like, to me, kicking him is like kicking a retarded child. It offers no challenge. It's just one of those things you do. You're having a bad day. You walk by Condor DM, boot to the face. And that's it. That's it. You know, I get that. That's all I can say because there's nothing of value they've added to my life. I've tried to add him to my life. He was going to be another co-host of the Gatekeepers. And instead of him embracing it and being like, I'll be the dissenting voice, he instead chose the opportunity to talk with me, to express to me a bunch of things that I didn't want to read. And so I just saved the chat file and I said, I think we're done talking. And I blocked him. I have the receipts. So, and one of these days I will watch his video where he rips me to shreds. And I'll keep it on YouTube so I can monetize him and I can make his pain my gain. I will help myself with the watch hours. And you guys will be there to witness it if you decide to. It is a Sunday. It is the 6th of February. it is the end of my stream. Please, Angels Draven, Shadzar, and lovely Sherry, for everybody that stopped by here at Ptolemy's Minion, I want you all to have a great night. Please go share and subscribe Baron Montague, because he is a great creator, and go watch the Primetime Kings because they are fun. I'm going to continue painting.